lawyers use AI at work. For better and for worse, lawyers definitely do use AI in a variety of ways. There are a bunch of AI-powered tools for practice management, scheduling, billing, and other internal office management purposes. There are also a bunch of tools specific to the legal industry, which you'd have no reason to know about unless you're a legal professional. So, to keep the scope of the video relatively narrow, I'm going to focus on what most of you care about, or what I think this question is really trying to get at. Is ChatGPT, rather than my lawyer himself, responding to my emails, drafting my contracts, and providing me with advice? From my perspective, there are a few things that ChatGPT can do pretty well, although there is no task for which I have enough confidence in its abilities to use its output without significant review, revision, modification, deletion, and general intervention of a real lawyer before the final product is produced. I'd say that a thoughtful, detailed, well-crafted request to ChatGPT can give the lawyer a kickstart or get them 30 to 60% of the way there for the following tasks. First, initial drafts of basic contracts. Okay, now for all but the most simplistic of contracts, even 30% might be an overstatement for this one. But if your lawyer has never drafted a particular type of document before, this can give them a super generic starting point to use as a springboard. Or a lawyer can review the GPT's output and compare it to the lawyer's existing contract draft. Sometimes the AI thinks of additional terms and provisions that would be useful to incorporate. Grade C+. Next, summarizing huge amounts of legal text. So one time I tried this with a particularly convoluted section of a 100-page monstrosity that a client had received from a third party, after removing any potentially identifying information, of course. I was actually really impressed and pleased with the results. Now, of course, I still had to read the whole thing myself anyway to confirm that the summary was at least reasonably accurate. And I don't yet trust that the AI appropriately understands how various sections of a contract might work together, especially under a particular client's very particular circumstances, or that it'll understand which terms need to be prioritized in the summary as a result. So, your lawyer should not ever supplant his own judgment with the AI's. But if you, as a non-lawyer business owner, are in a huge rush and the matter is pretty low value and low risk, using ChatGPT to generate a summary is actually a pretty decent option. So my grade here is a B+. Next, legal research. Now, I've asked ChatGPT so many random legal questions based on absurd hypotheticals that I generate while reading or watching TV or listening to my friends talk. In addition to acknowledging that you can and should judge me for being a huge law dork, I can confirm that having later endeavored to verify ChatGPT's responses to my bizarre inquiries, the accuracy and usefulness of results seems to vary pretty wildly between various legal subjects and practice areas. ChatGPT has given me incredibly interesting, obscure, and yes, totally accurate information. It has also told me things that are flat out garbage, just plain wrong in any and every jurisdiction, or so-called hallucinations, which is to say total fantasies that the AI creates to try to please you. It is so cool when these tools work for legal research, but for now, you'll still always need to verify the results from independent, legitimate resources. So my grade here is a B minus, maybe a B. Legal translation. This is another one where results seem to vary in quality based on the language for which you need a translation. Translating to and from Spanish, I found that it's been close to perfect. The results are as good as I could do myself in a tiny fraction of the time. On the other hand, my Russian is an abomination, but even I could spot and call out the AI on its mistakes, which, to be fair, the AI acknowledged and rectified. I've also played around a little with German English translations, and it seems pretty solid, but there's a bit of a knowledge and proficiency gap on my end, so mistakes could be slipping through outside of my awareness. Which is ultimately the point. Unless you are truly bilingual and you're just using the translation function to expedite the process, which, as mentioned, works pretty great as long as you proofread the output, you're just going to have to trust that it's doing a good job. And that's probably okay for small things as long as the lawyer discloses that it uses ChatGPT or another AI to assist with translations. And of course, everyone benefits from the fact that it's free or under a low monthly subscription. But if you have anything crucial, please engage a professional certified translator, or at least talk to somebody who's fluent in both languages and have them review their translation and ensure that it aligns with your expectations and objectives. So my grade here is an A minus for most languages anyway. Finally, regulatory guidance. Once again, please verify all results. You or your lawyer can get some useful input if you ask the AI to help you understand regulations that are or may be applicable to your industry or your proposed business idea. Bear in mind, though, that regulations and regulatory guidance change, and the GPT will only be accurate in the best case scenario through the date of its last knowledge update. Even if no new regulations or applicable guidance have been issued since the GPT's last knowledge update, much like with legal research, I found that it could get confused, citing irrelevant or outdated regulations or omitting crucial ones. ChatGPT or another AI is fine as a starting point, but it shouldn't be your or your lawyer's final stop for regulatory guidance. So my grade here is a C+. Note that this little report card is being issued in 2024. I have every expectation that these grades are going to continue to improve immensely over the next few years. In fact, in the few months between when I initially planned this response and when I finally filmed this video, I've had to boost each grade. It's improving that quickly. Ultimately, I do think that AI tools can be used in extremely productive ways that make the lawyer better. Just like a lawyer's thoughtful use of junior associates, reference materials, Westlaw, LexisNexis, and even Google searches and legal blogs can be game changers when used the right way. The problem is that AIs like ChatGPT sound so smart and they often do provide great information. So lazy lawyers sometimes feel like they can get away with just outsourcing their brains and professional judgment entirely. The stories about ChatGPT gone wrong aren't all apocryphal. I've seen with my own eyes a lawyer who copy pasted a ChatGPT response into an email without even bothering to read the text that the GPT generated in its entirety first. No surprise, I later discovered that the response had a material misstatement of law in it that would have been disastrous to the client if he had acted on that information right away. This isn't just crummy lawyering, it's flat out unethical and unprofessional. And you have every right to be furious if your lawyer pulls this crap with you. But if your lawyer casually mentions that she uses ChatGPT, there is no reason to be alarmed per se. Used appropriately and sparingly, it can add a ton of value and efficiency to your lawyer's work. Business owners, if you learned that your lawyer had used an AI tool to help answer a question or to fulfill a request, how would you react?